Man, the San Antonio Spurs really outdid themselves with this draft. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The more I watch these games, the more I realize this was the perfect draft. It couldn't have been better than what we got.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, guys. So before we get started, before we read this beautiful article, I'm just kidding. We're actually not going to read the article. It's just something I want to talk about. ClanTheMerchFan.com. Can I say something real quick? I am getting absolutely roasted. I mean, roasted. Okay, for this design. I'm sorry. Everyone's saying, "Hey, man, that looks really sus." I don't know. Look, if it does, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It didn't. But look, it's Dennis Rodman. Okay, Dennis Rodman is a little strange. He's a strange character. It was supposed to be a take on Star Wars because I like Star Wars. I'm sorry if you don't like it. I'm sorry. But look, there's way more on the merch shop. So if you want to support, go to clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description. And if this is just too sus for you, I'm sorry that it's too sus for you, okay? But if it's just sus enough, make sure you get it. Because I'll print myself off one. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this just briefly. So this article is just basically talking about the efficiency of Jeremy Sochan, Malaki Branham, and Blake Wesley, and basically saying that they finally found their footing, and that's really nice to hear. And it gives some pretty decent points. I did read through it prior, and it was just talking about Blake Wesley's athletic ability, Malaki Branham's shooting, and even the fact that Jeremy Sochan has found his own shot as well. So this won't be a long video, but this is what I want to talk about. Okay, actually, let's just scroll this really slow. Okay, you can read it yourself. Big shout out to Jesus Gomez on this article, but this is what I want to say. All right, this is more so discussion right here. I'm just gonna rant. I absolutely love what the San Antonio Spurs have done in this this last draft. Okay, because I look at these three players and I think that they really complement each other very well. There's things that Jeremy Sochan does that Blake Wesley and Malaki Branham will probably never do, and it's vice versa between all of those guys. Okay, so when I look at Jeremy Sochan, because I know in previous articles I've seen people say stuff like let's jump to Malaki Branham. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Malaki Branham. I've seen people basically say that Malaki Branham, he won't be a traditional point guard. That he can't really facilitate as well as a traditional point guard. And I look at these rookies and I'm like, what's the point? Does it really matter? It doesn't really matter, because I look at Jeremy Sochan and he can do that. But the point I'm trying to make is I look at Jeremy Sochan. He's a great facilitator, right? I don't think, just me personally, from what I've seen, I know it's really early on, but I just don't believe Malaki Branham and Blake Wesley have that natural ability to facilitate the way that he does. And his basketball IQ is just so high. I don't know if they'll necessarily get to that level of passing ability, facilitation. I'm not 100% sure, okay? But it doesn't matter, because that's what he does well, and that's what that's going to be his value in the NBA, right? But then, look, he can facilitate super well, but you know one thing he probably will never be able to do? To shoot like Malaki Branham. He can develop a shot. Obviously, he's been shooting much better as of late, thanks to the San Antonio Spurs development and him and his willingness to work on it. So I don't think that he'll be as bad of a three-point shooter as like Westbrook is at times, or Draymond Green is at times, but I do, or Ben Simmons, not even willing to take one. But I do believe that he'll be doable, but I don't know if he'll be able to catch up to what Malaki Branham does so well, and that is scoring. And then I look over at Blake Wesley, and his athletic ability is just absolutely out the roof. Like, I don't think Malaki Branham, we looked at articles in the past on Malaki Branham on how he had to work really hard because he had no hops growing up. He had to work really hard just to dunk in a game, and that still took all season long just for him to be able to do that in mid-game. So even him of itself, he never was known for his stupid athletic ability. And Jeremy Sochan, I know we'll point towards like some posters here and there, because I think he will put some people on a poster, but he reminds me more so of Derek White, of that sneaky athleticism. It's going to be something that you see maybe once, twice a game where you're like, whoa, where did that come from? But it's not going to be consistent. But you look at Blake Wesley, it's just all game long. His first step is extraordinarily quick. I know people tried to compare him to DJ. I don't necessarily see it, maybe with kind of his lengthy build, but for the most part, I don't think he plays like DeJounte at all. Even still, I mean, his first step is far better than what DeJounte's was, even before the injury, I would say. So Blake Wesley's athletic ability is just perfect. So I just feel like this past draft just went, it was just the perfect mix of things. I mean, it was just, everything just landed in our laps. I know that the San Antonio Spurs wanted to try to get Gabriel Procida, and obviously that didn't fall through, but they were not expecting Malaki Branham to fall as low as he did. And keep in mind, you guys saw the draft content last season. I'm going to do more draft content this season, obviously, right? But you guys remember, like when we were talking about Blake Wesley, we weren't really expecting him to get kicked out of the lottery. If he was kicked out of the lottery, it would be really close. At one point, I was expecting the Cavs to take him because to me that just made sense. But yeah, that ended up not happening. But yeah, just overall, I'm just saying that this was perfect. The Spurs got a great mix of guys. I mean, you got your potential in Blake Wesley, okay? Ultimate potential when it comes to his athleticism, sorry. You got your shooter in Malaki Branham, where I'm starting to convince myself that if this keeps up and he gets better and better and better each season, maybe thinking about, oh, do we need that second star? Maybe he'll be it. Maybe he can be the Chris Middleton to our potential Giannis, right? And then when I look at Jeremy Sochan, I mean, his basketball IQ, his ability to pass at that size is ridiculous. And one last thing that I want to just bring up, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, you know, briefly or whatever. But one thing about Malaki Branham, where people kind of say like, oh, maybe he won't be a traditional point guard. I don't think you need a traditional point guard in today's NBA. Like, he could very well be a player that's a threat as soon as he gets past half court. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. He could potentially be that. So I don't necessarily think that he has to be that. But if we absolutely need a facilitator on the court, I mean, you got Sochan. So I don't know. I just wish, you know, some people would open up a little bit as far as like the way that they think about things, because the days of traditional point guards are basically gone, man. I mean, you have a few in there that can still just facilitate at elite levels, like Chris Paul and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, a lot of the guys that are at point guard, I mean, it's a mixture. It is a healthy mixture of what they can do and what their strengths are. And I guarantee you, most successful teams in the NBA, the person who's bringing the ball down the court, their best quality isn't passing. And that's just me. I mean, I'm just right off the top of my head. Dame Lillard, Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry can pass the ball like crazy, don't get me wrong. But, you know, Steph Curry, Dame Lillard. I mean, these guys, they just, yeah, it's not like Ja Morant, right? His best ability isn't passing. Can he pass? Yeah, but that's not his best ability. So just open up your mind a little bit, and that's just how I view that. But yeah, but just wanted to bring this up. Tell me how you guys feel about it. Just curious. But yeah, I'll get with you guys later. Until next time. Bye.